Okay. Well, and this also makes me think about when people get into therapy, they think, oh man, these sessions are going to be great. I'm starting to heal. I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow. I'm going to be the best version of myself possible. I can't wait to do this. And you'll have some really good therapy sessions, but then you'll have some times where you go in and you feel like absolute shit.
You come out worse.
You come out feeling worse. You come out feeling like, oh, why am I doing this? Why, this doesn't feel good. Healing is supposed to be good. Growing is supposed to be good. Therapy is supposed to be good. Guys, this is part of the gray area part, is that you are going to have these sessions that make you feel like shit. And typically that's where the growth is going to come from.
Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Today we're going to be talking about gray area thinking. This is duality in thinking. This is not just thinking one way or the other. Things are good or bad. They are, righteous and evil. That the world is binary, because it's not. It's not even close. And we're going to talk about how this thinking can keep you stuck in unhealthy thought patterns, keep you stuck in turmoil in a relationship or in a job or with your self-image, any number of things. We're going to get into every one of them today. This is the lesson that we learned, not just that applies and pertains to recovery, but a great life lesson. This really is. Yeah,
and we're going to talk about where black and white thinking is actually necessary in certain parts of our lives.
It does serve a purpose.
How do you spell gray area thinking?
I spell it Grey.
I switch it up.
Paige spells it Gray because that's her maiden name.
Yes. But sometimes I throw in the
Paying
E.
tribute, dog.
It depends on my mood.
Okay.
Talk about gray area thinking.
First off, with some announcements. Hey, if you haven't subscribed and reviewed the show, we would genuinely appreciate that. It helps us become more discoverable, which means that more people get the help that we believe that we can offer them. If you found the show helpful, if you could, please take a moment and write us a quick review or leave us some stars on whatever app or platform you follow us on, whether that's YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any number of podcast apps. We're on a bunch of them now. We're on like 20 different podcast platforms.
I didn't even know there were that many podcast platforms.
Some people just listen on the website too. I still see that, those metrics. Yep. So if you haven't, please do that. Next thing up, we've got a newsletter/blog. Comes out every Monday. If you want to sign up, you want to read those, you can go to our website, www.twfo.com. Put in your email address and you will get those in your inbox every Monday morning. I've been consistent with this for quite some time now. I don't know how many I've written in a row, but I'm not missing them. I'm committed to it. And I enjoy doing it. And people seem to enjoy writing them, so I'm going to keep doing it. So check those out if you haven't already. This last week.
People enjoy reading them?
Oh, last week was a fun one. That was about if you still drink as a spouse. Like, what is your relationship
Talk
with alcohol
about gray
look like?
area.
That was a fun one.
Very controversial for some.
We also have a free Facebook community called TUFO Community, which you can find out more by going to our website as well. There's a link to it there, or in any of our social media profiles. There's a little link tree there where you can access it. It's got like close to 4,000 people now. It's growing. Which is a sad thing, but also a beautiful thing, because you get connected with other people and you don't have to feel crazy. If you're in a small town somewhere, or you're in your circle of influence is such that you don't have anyone to talk to about this, there is someone to talk to 24 hours a day in there. I see people reach out for support in the middle of the night. Like, I'll wake up the next morning and see a message and it's like, hey, I'm up, text me.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love
cool.
that people get connected and they can talk through things. Next thing up, we've got merch. I've got sweatshirts on the way. They are with the printer right now. Those will be available very soon.
Woo woo.
But for now, we still have some. We've got stickers. We've got hats. Paige is wearing the white one now. We've also got black, which is great. You're not supposed to be wearing that after Labor Day, according to people born.
Do you know me?
Before 1972, I think.
I don't know what that rule is, but do you know me?
I know you don't care, and I don't care either. White's a great color. It doesn't matter what time of year it is.
You know that we have T-shirts that we still haven't put up?
Oh my gosh, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a box of T-shirts I ought to post.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We'll do that with the sweatshirts.
Forgot all about that. We've got recovery rocks here. If you don't know what one of those, where is it? Hang on, I'm going to reach around here.
You did good. You picked it up.
Recovery rock. So this is a token of appreciation. If you are someone that has worked through recovery like me, that has dealt with substance abuse, and you have someone that stood by your side with it, through it, this is a really cool way to acknowledge their journey. Like, we get stories like mine get put out there and everyone listens to them and, oh, you're so amazing. You're such an inspiration. But I'm like, you ought to talk to my wife. You have no idea what her journey was like. This is a way to acknowledge the journey of a spouse or partner. On the front, it's got our logo. On the back, it says, "Thank you for being my rock." It's a really cool way to acknowledge someone. And a lot of people order these without someone know, like they tell us, like, make the packaging discreet because I want it to be a surprise. And I always thought that was a really cool thing people do. It's just a really kind way to say, I see you, I hear you, and I understand. Please do more than just get them a rock and actually live this stuff. But it's still a cool way to acknowledge their journey. Next thing. Independently Strong. That is our course. We built a course. So if you've ever listened to our show and wondered, like, well, how do I get that type of clarity? We built a course called Independently Strong. Stay or go, always grow. We will help you find clarity no matter what you decide to do. That is our goal, is to build your confidence to the point where you don't make decisions out of fear anymore or out of uncertainty anymore. It is a crash course in education. It is validating. We use a process actually called VEER, VEER. It's validate, educate, empower, and recover. We are going to provide you a safe place to talk about this stuff. You are not crazy when you're with us by any means. You are going to be allowed to talk about your fear. You're going to be allowed to talk about your resentment and anger and a lot of things that you're told that you're not supposed to have, right? Because we're addicts and we have a disease and you can't feel that way. We call BS. We built a course for this. We're also going to educate you. So the course is based on social learning theory, and it was built in conjunction with a licensed therapist, our partner, Dr. Christopher Taylor, who runs Taylor Counseling Group here in Texas, using social learning theory that essentially says that your environment has a great deal to do with your ability to heal. So we're going to take a good, hard look at your environment and determine if this is a place that you can even succeed in. We're going to look really hard at that. We're also... For my part, obviously we're not licensed. We should open every episode with that. Like, we're not licensed. We're not therapists or anything, but I am someone who's worked through this. And I'm going to give you a crash course in addiction education using all the literature that I have read over the years and what I know about it, living through it personally, and what it's really like, so you can get some of those questions answered. It's also going to empower you. We're going to encourage you to return that focus inward, focus on self-care, boundary setting, personal growth, and we're going to shift your focus away from, oh my God, are they sober? Are they sober? Are they sober? To what can I control? What is in my sphere? What is in my circle? What is in my hula hoop? What can I control? The last thing we're going to do is we're going to arm you with confidence so that you know what recovery looks like for you. We do not encourage anyone to stay or to go. We encourage you to find out what that path looks like for you. And we aim and we achieve that, we believe. We've got tons of people that have taken this thing and worked through it, and they will all tell you, this is great. This has saved me thousands of dollars in therapy. Not a knock on therapy. I love therapy. Do therapy with this.
Yes.
But it is great. It is great. It's the only course I'm aware of that was built for this specific purpose. You can get 75% off of that course by going to independentlystrong.com. Enter the code Wheelies75 at checkout.
Yes, and if you are in therapy and your therapist would be interested in this course, we have a section on the website that is specifically for therapists that you can send to them.
We do. And
so they can contact us.
Have your therapist get in touch with us. If they would like to review the material, review the course, and something that they can work through with you, or you guys could reference back and forth as you're going through it, we're happy to do that. We have a special... what would you even call it? Agreement, I guess, with therapists for this. So making it very affordable, very accessible for them so they can help as many people as possible as well. Yep. Hey, we have an actual sponsor now.
Hey!
This is still so cool to me. This is still so cool to me.
It is cool.
And we always said that we wouldn't promote something that we wouldn't use ourselves. And I don't think this was even really around when I was getting sober.
No.
But people know about it. You've probably heard of it. It's SoberLink. Thank you to SoberLink, the sponsor of today's show. So SoberLink is, I'm just going to use this in my own words. I'm not going to read necessarily. They gave me some points to read, but this is just what I think about it. I think it's a really, really cool device. So it's super high tech. It uses military grade facial recognition. So you can't cheat this thing. Like, I'm going to speak for myself here. I am very crafty when I want to get around something.
Facts.
And if you know anyone who's ever been breathalyzed, like maybe they had one on their car, or they had one that like maybe you bought for them, there are a million ways to beat these things, and people figure it out pretty closely. Like when I remember this guy telling me that if you put like pennies under your tongue, it did something. And then some people suck instead of blow. And some people, there's a million ways like you can crack these things open. You cannot do that. SoberLink has thought of everything. These people are the gold standard when it comes to breathalyzers. The gold standard. If I was in a custody battle, if I was in a co-parenting arrangement, if I was in a situation where I needed to know that my children were safe, I wouldn't hesitate for a millisecond to contact SoberLink. So it's really cool. It has a set of contacts that get notified each time someone blows. And it's on set time, so it's not random. They do not do random, try to corner people or into a situation where you could be asleep.
Yeah.
Like at 2 a.m., you need to blow, and then it shows up like you're asleep. Negative, now you don't get to see your kids. It doesn't do anything like that. It's incredibly fair. They are very impartial. Their goal, as far as I can see it, is to provide accurate information to the people that need it. That's simply it. They don't advocate one way or the other. They just provide a really great tool that provides you information. Now, this tool is not going to like save your marriage. I want to tell people that and just be transparent about that, is that a breathalyzer, in an agreement where, I think it has to be an agreement. If you tell your husband you're going to start using this thing and you think that's what's going to fix it, that's what's going to cure the addiction, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Addiction comes from often in times it's intrinsically driven. So it's something that I want to do. So it's a really great tool to rebuild trust if it's something that someone wants to do. Let's say that you've been in a relationship with someone, they've been drinking for a long time, and they've had multiple slips and relapses. They've been to treatment, but this time they're serious and they're like, listen, I'm ready to
I'll do whatever it takes.
I'll prove it.
Yeah,
I'll prove it. I'll get a sober link. And
Yeah.
they grab a sober link. They set you up as a sober contact. And you know each and every time they're blowing. And what this does for you is it gives you peace of mind. Because part of what will drive someone crazy as a spouse or partner is the uncertainty of it all. It's this, are they or are they not? And we tell people trust your gut, and which I think is valuable. Don't stop trusting your gut, but you can also trust data that comes back and says
it'll validate your gut
in one way or the other too.
Yeah, exactly.
Validate that they're lying.
They're lying.
Or, hey, he was telling the truth. And I kind of thought, but I wasn't sure because I've been lied to so damn many times. Now you know, and it gives you that information and that peace of mind. It's incredibly helpful. They have over 200,000 clients that trust them. So you know it is legit. And then once again, for anyone that's in a custody situation, I don't think that there's any other way to go about it. I would have to know that my children are in a safe place. And if you're blowing dirty, you are not getting the children. And that can be written into your agreements. Talk to your attorneys about that. It is also court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. So it provides proof of sobriety when it really, really matters. So they have given our listeners a discount. You can get $50 off a device by going to soberlink.com/wheels. That's soberlink.com/wheels. And thank you very much to SoberLink for sponsoring the show.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's get on to the episode.
Okay.
Let's talk about some gray area thinking.
All right. So what is gray area thinking? So a lot of people have probably heard of all or nothing thinking or black and white thinking. It's a cognitive distortion that I see everywhere. I think that all of us have this in us because society, all the things, there's all different things that have taught us to think this way. And gray area thinking is breaking that pattern of thought. It is completely shifting your thought patterns. It's looking at things as both and thinking.
That's wild for a lot of folks. Both
It is.
And it can. You tell me it could be both?
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like it's
can be
having
good and
two thoughts at once.
Yeah.
And that was such a hard thing for me personally to wrap my head around. And I'm going to give huge kudos to Matt right now because you taught me so much about the gray area thinking. And it was hard for me to deal with and learn and all the things, but it has been so good for my anxiety that I don't ever want to go back. Yeah, sometimes I do. It pops up because that's just something that happens with people.
Everyone struggles with it at some time.
Oh yeah, everybody struggles with it. But whenever you really start to dig into it and start shifting your mind, it's like, whoa, this is really cool.
It's hilarious that we ended up together. Like I saw this meme on like
That the truth.
Instagram or something. It was like, there are two types of people in the world. Like there's one that wants to go to bed at 10 p.m. and there's another that asks, what are we doing tonight at 10 p.m.? And these two people get married. And I think for us, it was like, we'll talk a bit about how these things in extremes can be bad. Black and white thinking is one extreme. The other is pure gray area thinking, which is also a bad extreme. And I was a pure gray area thinker where there were no rules and everything was negotiable. And that was bad.
Yeah.
And then we got married. I married the most black and white person of all time. And we found the balance, right?
Yes.
But
yes. It took a lot of work.
yeah, once again,
Yeah.
extremes.
So a gray area, I think, is just finding the middle ground in situations and avoiding the extremes of the black and white thinking. And instead of viewing things as all good or all bad or a success or failure or right or wrong or good or evil, the gray area thinking allows us to recognize that most situations and people fall somewhere in between. Now, I do not believe that this goes along with abusive situations, and we'll get into that later about where black and white thinking is actually necessary.
It's valid in a lot of situations.
It really is. And honestly, it helped me in a lot of ways too. So we'll get into that in a little bit. It's acknowledging that multiple truths can coexist. So you can be successful and still have room to improve. We talk about that all the time, about how failure is, you look at it as not an obstacle. It's just like a challenge. It's just something to learn from.
Yeah. You ever heard a really successful, like financially successful person say that they're miserable? I was watching this documentary. I don't remember who it was, but there was a billionaire, and he was talking about how he was contemplating suicide like within the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show like something like in a black or white thinker is like, how is that even possible? Because money equals success, freedom from the things that you don't want to do, freedom to do the things that you do want to do. But here's someone saying I'm absolutely miserable because he lacked purpose. And he had to find the gray between the two. He thought he could just buy his way to happiness, like really did. Like that's a very black and white way to view things.
Right.
It comes from somewhere in between.
Well, that's like what people say, money can't buy you happiness.
Yeah, but you don't believe it until you've been there.
Uh-huh.
I think that's something like, I won't believe that. Like, people say that like money doesn't buy happiness. I'm like, okay, well, you would say that because you're a billionaire. Mm-hmm. I'm not a billionaire. Like money would literally solve like a lot of problems for a lot of people. You know,
you always say that, but I've always told you that money is not going to buy happiness either. But I understand what you're saying. Like there's a gray area here, but this is something that you and I have always gone back and forth on, which is kind of funny that we brought it up on the episode.
Think about it. Like right now, especially, there are people like money would literally solve every one of their problems.
Not every one of their problems. No,
the biggest
Sometimes
ones.
more money means more problems.
It does. What's that rap song? More money, more problems, right? It's true though. It's true.
It is true.
I'm not saying it's
have
false.
Seen it.
I'm just saying it doesn't feel true.
Witnessed it
until you've been there. No, I know.
Okay.
I know.
All right. So we're agreeing.
We're in agreement.
All right. So whenever we do embrace the gray area thinking, it helps us embrace uncertainty and accepting that life is rarely as simple as all good or all bad. Or we want to categorize a lot of things. We want to put things in boxes. We want to have solutions for everything. But guys, that is not how life works at all. And once we release that and we accept that, it's like a breath of fresh air, because it gives you that power to choose things, if it's right or wrong or whatever, and figure it out from there instead of waiting around to make the right decision. You know, you can make the wrong decision and learn from that, and that's gray area.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the problems with black and white thinking. Like, why is this a problem?
Man, I can, like, without getting too far out of line here and just like going off on tangents all day long.
Well, we can do that. Let's do that.
I think the biggest problem that I see with it is that it leads to perfectionist thinking.
Yes.
Perfectionist thinking. It's that if I'm not a success, then I am a failure. Mm-hmm. And so this shows up in so many places in your life where, like, parenting, like that's a big one. Like if I'm not a perfect parent, then I'm a trash parent.
Yeah.
Weight loss, this shows up a lot in like weight loss and things like that. Mm-hmm. So this whole, and we'll get into those, but like this whole idea about perfectionism, like I have to be, like there is a right and there is a wrong. And there's really nothing in between that. There's a right and a wrong. Mm-hmm. There's good and bad. And so it leads to this unrealistic expectation that you place in yourself to meet. And life is just so much more nuanced than that. And so you're going to come up short all the time, and you're going to be feeling less than all of the time as a result, or incredibly anxious because you feel like you're not doing something right, or you could be doing something better. Like you're just not meeting the standard, but the standard is quite literally impossible.
Yep.
So it creates a lot of stress that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. And we talked about this on how the all or nothing or the black and white thinking typically comes up more when we are feeling overwhelmed.
It absolutely does.
It comes up when we're feeling super anxious and overwhelmed. And I noticed that within myself. I don't think it's clearly in the gray area. And if I'm having stress in my life or I'm just super overwhelmed, I end up going to that all or nothing black or white thinking. I think, you know what, screw it. You know, why not? I don't want to go on anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to stop because I'm having a really bad time.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense anymore. I'm just going to just screw it. That's just what the overwhelmed feelings do.
Yeah, like when our emotions get really big and overwhelming, that tends to be where we go. Like that's like the baseline for stress and anxiety and fear and all of those things. We run in these absolutes when those things happen. So if you're someone that is generally anxious, this is probably very familiar conversation to you. Mm-hmm. If you're someone that struggled with depression, this is something that's probably very familiar to you. If you find yourself being a perfectionist, especially at work and things like that, you'll find yourself feeling this way whenever you're under the gun, when you've got a deadline, when something's coming up. You get super binary in this thought process. I was listening to two therapists actually. So as we were prepping for this episode, I listened to a show. I can't remember the name of it. I should know this because I did take this from them. Forgive me for that. But anyway, they were talking about, it wasn't really anything special. They were talking about their own experience with it and how they noticed that it came up whenever they were more stressed or more anxious. And when these big emotions happen, they just kind of like, it pops up. It's like, oh, hey, your old friend perfectionism is back, you know, as you're going through this really tough time, which just compounds the problem. It makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
And so gray area thinking for a lot of people is a skill that you will develop.
Yes,
just like it was for you.
Exactly. Like, I think that whenever I would go into, you know, we talked about the cocoon phase where you kind of just, I isolated and I went into this whole thing of feeling really depressed a little bit too. I think that a lot of it had to do with my all or nothing thinking because I felt really down and I kept feeling down and I kept thinking, you know what, what's the purpose? I'm just going to stay in this spot.
Oh yeah.
Instead of pulling myself out
it's like
of
that
it.
Can't win, don't try mentality.
Yeah. And within the last few years, I recognize that when I do feel down or I feel upset or just feel that those feelings creep up, I don't let them take over. You know, I just think, you know what, this is just how I'm feeling today. I'm just overwhelmed today. I just don't feel 100% today. And that's okay. It doesn't mean I have to stay there. It doesn't mean I have to stay stuck there. And it's just all or nothing thinking if you're feeling like you just have to stay stuck there all the time.
Yeah.
You can restart your day at any time.
Anytime. Like that's a bit of a gray area concept. That was an early episode that we did. It's like you can restart your day at any time. Like oftentimes we wake up and we feel like that day is a scorecard. And we're like, someone's keeping score of how well we're doing throughout the day. And it's like, once you get an F, it's over. Mm-hmm. Like you've blown your GPA and the day is ruined.
Yeah. Like you're late for work one day. Like you're late for work. Oh, I'm just having a really bad day. You spill coffee on your shirt that same day. Oh, bad day. And then you're just going to be in a shitty mood the rest of the day.
And what happens is oftentimes that negativity snowballs. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you've just created a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Your day does suck because you said so.
Right. But
take an opposite approach where if you've been through something really tough that day, take a moment to restart. So I do this with a few really deep breaths. I'll say a quiet prayer or meditate for just a moment. Just get quiet and think about the reality of the day. Okay, I woke up a little bit late, but the fact is that I've got like 16 hours left of waking time today that I have the chance to turn this around. And when you look at it in hindsight, when you take it that way, it's like there's still a lot of potential here to do something great with my day. Like I can turn around and do something awesome and I can do 3 more awesome things. And suddenly that running late wasn't that big of a deal.
Right.
My day actually was like, I was late this morning. I woke up late.
You woke up, you're like, oh, I'm late. I got to get out. And I was like, I'm just like cuddling with you.
What did I say? Like I criticized time in general. I was like, stupid time.
Yeah, you were like mad at time.
That.
You're like, don't blame me, blame time. Or it's not you, it's the time.
Yeah, because you were like, what if you thought I was upset with you? I was like, no, it's just this.
No, I didn't think you were upset with me. I was just like,
time.
I just wanted to cuddle for a moment.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But either way, I got there late and had to apologize to people. I'm sorry I'm late. I just overslept. I didn't even try to lie about it. There was no traffic. I just overslept. Or if there was traffic, it's because I did oversleep. I missed my window.
Yeah.
Quick little window, you haven't commuted in a minute, but there's like a freaking 10-minute period. If you don't hit that little window, your day's...
Well, I started taking Sydney to school.
Oh, that's
our
right.
Daughter,
so
I do know the windows now. They've popped up again. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't go that way or do this, and I messed up, but it all works.
But either way,
we
reset
it.
Both of my jobs today. We got the freight and everything else done, and then I had a couple of really awesome sessions today with clients, and It was awesome. It was an incredible day. When I look back on the day,
And you
it
went
was
to
great.
the treatment center.
Talked to people at the treatment center, helped some folks, hopefully gave them some hope in their journeys. And
Yeah.
it's a great day.
Yeah, and I can easily go down that hole. I need to remind myself to pull myself out from that. I do that sometimes still.
Yeah, and like I know this conversation probably has shades like we're like positivity people. No, we're reality people. We've always has been reality people.
We're so gray area.
There's a time and a place for like positivity. Don't get me wrong. There's a time and a place to be real about the negative and horrible things that are going on in your life. We talk about those all the time.
All the time. Yeah, this is basic life stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you can apply this to anything. Absolutely anything.
Right. Well, I wanted to talk about an example on how black and white thinking causes problems with our self-esteem. So we'll start looking at ourselves negatives and think that that's who we are instead of looking at ourselves as a whole. Like we don't look at the positives. Instead, we'll look at the negatives. Matt and I were talking about this earlier about how whenever we start maybe gaining a little bit of weight or feeling fluffy, or we don't see ourselves in the mirror like we want to, we think, oh my gosh, we're just back to our old selves, and that's an all or nothing type of thought process, when in reality, we're not like our old selves. We've come really, really far. And just because we've, been really stressed or stopped, or you haven't been able to do anything because of your back, doesn't mean that we don't stop going. It doesn't mean that we're as bad as we were before.
I get really screwed up here. Be vulnerable for a moment. I've always struggled with body image. I've always struggled with this. I was a heavy kid my entire life.
Yeah.
I got made fun of because I was overweight. I had girls break up with me because I was overweight. I was always overweight, and I was always self-conscious about it. It wasn't until I was in like mid to late 30s that I started to get really in shape. I got my body fat percentage down to less than 9%, and I get shredded up. Like you could see veins in my abs. It was way too shredded. But even looking in the mirror, not sustainable. But looking in the mirror, I'm like, there's still room for improvement here. And like in my mind, if you told me back then that I would have looked like that one day, I'd have been like, I've arrived, I've won, I did it. But here I am with that thinking, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. And I'm trying to put on some weight right now because I want to build some muscle. It's just a personal goal of mine.
And this is the time.
And you have to gain fat to do it. Mm-hmm. And like I'm looking at myself, I'm like, oh, you slob. And like, what is wrong with me? And so I really do have to like jar myself and tell myself like, no, dude, like consider the whole and the average of the, I'm almost 40. So about 40-year-old men out there. And like the majority of people in this country are obese. That's the majority now. Overweight. I'm not overweight. I have a lot to be grateful for. I've worked really hard and I'm not out of shape, but in my mind, I feel out of shape. Because I'm not sure if that's some obvious. Honestly, I think there might be some like body dysmorphia issues going on in my brain.
I think it's just
but also
that you
I think that it also goes back to some of this black and white thinking where if I'm not completely shredded up, I can't feel good about myself, and that's so stupid. That's craziness.
But it just is. I mean, it's just something that you do, and it's something that I've done. We both have that. I think a lot of people have that. It's just something that we do.
Weight's a tough one for a lot of people. I definitely struggle with it. So if you do too, you are not alone on that. I do too.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about where black and white thinking is appropriate.
Okay.
Before we get into like really gray area, I want to talk about this.
Before we do, because we were just talking about some of the detriments of it, of black and white thinking, like how it can go wrong.
Yeah.
These are some others that I kind of worked through, and some I added, some I pulled like just in general from the internet. But we talked about rigid expectations and like perfectionism, like this impossible idea that you just can't achieve. It also, emotional whiplash. I love this term, emotional whiplash. It's when you switch back and forth between extremes. So you either feel fully successful or completely inadequate. And it's not just the feeling of it. It's also all the emotions that come with that. It's being super high and positive and thinking that anything's possible, and then the next day feeling completely shit. You just have no balance in any of your emotions. So you never really get used to anything or what balance feels like. You just get used to roller coaster.
Yeah, highs and lows.
If you listen to this episode, this is our show, you probably know what a roller coaster feels like at this point.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's sort of that same line of thinking that it can create. It can actually cause anxiety. So it's bad enough that it happens when you have anxiety, but then it just snowballs anxiety.
Yep.
The constant self-judgment and criticism. You can be so hard on yourself and others at times. if you're a black and white thinker.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that standard that has to be met. And that can really affect your relationships. It can also cause decision paralysis because you don't trust your gut because you're looking at some arbitrary set of guidelines that you haven't always agreed with.
Yeah.
And they were put there maybe by some man in a law book, 100 years ago. And it's like, I don't really agree with that. But I have to do it. And it can it causes people to sort of detach from what they believe to be right and wrong. Because everyone's got their own perspective of that. I think most people agree for the most part about a lot of things. Murder's bad, right?
Right. Lying is bad. Stealing is bad. All those things.
Right. But some of the other things, like some of the more like when we get like into the more specific decisions about what you may make in a given day, let's say that you grew up in a household where people only use I don't know, wasn't Dove like a big deal in your house?
No, that's what we use.
That was like the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
What do you use today?
Dove.
Okay. So if you felt at some point like you wanted to use something else, it could be a tough decision to make there. Like even little stupid stuff like that, because it's black or white. This is the standard and there's not one. It's like there's nothing in between.
Like this is what I was raised with. This is what I was taught to use. This is what I was taught in general.
Yeah. And all of these things, like on the aggregate, just cause a lot of strain in your relationships. The relationship with yourself, your real values, like your true inner authentic self, and also the people around you. It can be really tough to be in a relationship with someone who's a black or white thinker. I can speak to firsthand experience about this, how difficult it can be at times, because it seems rather irrational sometimes. It's like, you're making this decision. Why again? Like, walk me through your logic. And you'll look at me so pissed. Like, and in that moment, I know that there was no logic. It was just black and white.
Because I said so.
It's because, or it could be because so-and-so says so, It's like, where is this coming from? Like, this doesn't make any sense right now. So it can cause issues, right?
Yes.
Like what we encourage people to do is find your true self, find your authentic self. And so we deal with sobriety a lot here, right? Recovery. Like most people, I would say most people don't want to be addicts. They don't. That's been my experience. We don't want to be, right? But in their mind, it's like, well, I just can't imagine a life without alcohol. Well, how come? Well, because that's how people have fun. That's what you do for fun. Says who? Well, the commercials.
Society.
And every time I watch a movie, it's what they're doing when they're having fun. Okay. You sound stupid right now. You realize this? Like there's no way in the world that any of that is actually true.
Right.
But it's sort of, addiction, the chemical component to that too. But some of that is like some people's biggest fears around addiction is this like binary thinking that alcohol equals fun. Everything else equals boring. Like people's biggest fears are, I'm never going to have fun again. I'll never have a good vacation again. We'll never have good sex again. Oftentimes though, sex is ruined by it, but still that's like a thought that I hear a lot people have. And it's like these crazy thoughts, these all or nothing thoughts. Like I've been on the record in the show saying that alcohol is not, being sober is not always more fun. So it's not black and white the other way either. It's not always more fun. Like I'm sure, like from what I remember, concerts in general probably a little more fun when you're a little buzzed because they're super loud and hectic and there's people everywhere.
Yeah,
and it would be nice to not be
just
so aware of it
a little
all.
bit. Right.
But it's still very enjoyable, and it's not so like unenjoyable that I think I need something.
Yeah.
But it's like nightclubs are not very fun sober. They're just not.
Right.
It is more fun to be drunk in a nightclub, 1000%. But there's many other things that are so much more fulfilling. And so in totality, sobriety has got way more benefits to me than cons.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of another way to look at this, like when it comes to black and white thinking. And so like that just goes to show how it can permeate through all of your decision making.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that we talk about here, like especially with like relationships, like your side of things. Like we'll get into a lot more of that here in a little bit. I don't want to spoil that right now, but in as to how people view success or failure in a relationship, or what love is or isn't, or what giving up is or isn't, or what marriage is or isn't, and where that comes from, and like a lot of the beliefs, we're just going to challenge every single one of them. For me anyway, personally, I believe that gray area thinking is as simple as challenging beliefs.
Yeah, exactly.
Ask why.
Right.
Ask why. Ask why. Where is that coming from? Why do I hold myself to that standard?
That way? Right.
Why am I holding myself to that standard? Like, do I believe that? Does that agree with me? Does that make sense to me? And if the answer is, then let's rethink it. Let's rethink it. But we're going to ask people to challenge their beliefs, and that means it's going to be a little uncomfortable. You're going to feel like you're breaking rules, but remember, there are no rules.
Tell you what, y'all, it's an interesting process, but it's so worth it.
Paige is like the textbook rule follower, and she married me. And once again, the 10 p.m. person, and that wants to go to bed, and the other person that asks, "What are we doing? Like, what's on for tonight?" It's the rule follower and the rule breaker, And we found balance between the two, because being a rule breaker isn't great.
Yeah.
Being a rule follower isn't always the best thing either, because that will wear your ass out. I'd love to hear you talk a little more about that, what that's like.
I missed a turn the other day because I didn't want to get T-boned. And so I went straight, and then I was going to turn in a place where you're not really supposed to turn.
It was like a one-way or something.
And I did it, and you would have been so proud of me. And Sydney was with me, and I was like, I was not supposed to do that. And then the next day, I had to do the same thing.
Okay, you didn't learn your lesson. Now we have a problem.
No, I'll have to tell you later where the spot is, because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about and why I had to do what I did. But I did it again, and I was like, it's kind of fun to break the rules a little bit, but there was nobody around. Everything was fine. It wasn't a big deal.
Okay, it's not supposed to be about being fun, okay?
Okay, but it was necessary in order. Like, I didn't. The right thing to do would have kept going for a long time until I had to find the U-turn and blah blah blah. But it was okay. I used use
your best judgment.
Yes, and it worked out fine.
You asked why. You used your judgment.
But you would have been proud of me in that moment. Used your
instincts. I am proud of you.
Okay, let's talk about where black and white thinking is actually appropriate and necessary. And usually it involves where there's safety, which I was kind of just talking about safety, ethics, values,
public safety,
or
Paige
clarity.
Is a violator.
Hey, it worked. Where there's just little room for flexibility. And so moral and ethic boundaries. These are going to be, so an example is going to be situations involving clear-cut ethical standards, like honesty versus dishonesty, abuse versus non-abuse, or respecting others' rights.
Yeah, or their autonomy.
Yes. And it's appropriate because in cases where core values or human rights are at stake, there is little room for moral relativism. For instance, did I say that right?
Relativism?
Yes.
Yeah, you totally did. Did you think you weren't going to?
I don't.
You seem surprised right now. You looked at me like, did I get that right?
I'm not a moron, I promise y'all.
I think they know this by now.
This is authentically me. This is just me. Some people can't spell. Sometimes I just can't read appropriately. But okay. So lying and stealing, we were talking about this earlier. Like, that's generally wrong, regardless of the specific context. And trying to justify it with gray thinking could blur the ethical lines inappropriately. But we were talking about earlier how there's that whole question, would you steal bread if you were hungry?
Say that again.
Would you steal bread if you were hungry?
I thought you said, would you steal bread if you were hungry? Like,
what?
still, S-T-I-L-L. I was
it
like,
did come out. You know how I say heel and hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Southern thing.
Yeah, like, okay.
Sometimes my Southern accent will come out and I'll say it inappropriately.
Is stealing bread when you're starving wrong? Technically, yes, but I would argue that it would be necessary for your survival. So, take some bread. I don't care.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't hold that against someone, but the law would, because the law is black and white.
But I know
but
that,
you can see like the moral ambiguity in that.
Yeah, but like people who are in active assholeness, you would probably use lying and stuff. They would try to find the gray area.
Yeah. So the issue with playing around with black and white thinking and trying to bend those rules when it comes to some of these more serious topics like morals and ethics and right, like what we really deem as right or wrong when it comes to someone's safety, whether that's emotional or physical safety or the safety of others, it becomes a serious issue whenever you start to bend the rules. It really does. This gets slippery so fast, and no one is better about this. No one was better about this than me when I was in active addiction, and I could find every loophole in the world to make you question anything. Well, we're really, really good about crafting these kinds of arguments. And it's a question like I just asked you. Mm-hmm. I would steal something, or I don't know if I didn't steal a whole lot.
You stole.
But let's say that I did, and I would tell you about it. You'd be like, that's so wrong. I'd be like, well, it's not though. Like, if someone stole bread and they were starving, is that wrong? You'd be like, You start to question yourself, right?
God, you were so good at that
But,
shit.
but within the context of what I did, which was like stealing, I don't know, a pack of beer. I don't think I ever did that, a case of beer or something. But let's just say, well, that's not okay, dude. That's not necessarily for survival. It's different. It's nuanced. You can't say, let's just not mess with it when it comes to abuse and harm, okay?
Yeah.
Let's leave it alone, and we can agree for the most part, with few exceptions, that these things serve a purpose there. They serve a purpose, okay? And we're not going to say, well, you know, he did punch me in the face, but I did say something beforehand. That's not okay. It is not illegal to say words. It is illegal. Well, I guess it could be technically hate speech, but it's illegal to punch someone. Okay. You can't say, why are you home at this hour in a rough tone and get hit for it and somehow justify that.
Yeah.
Like, you've crossed the line. It's bad. It's bad. Okay. It's wrong. End of story. We're going to go binary here. It's beneficial.
Yeah, and abuse is unacceptable under any circumstance.
Yeah.
Like this is physical, emotional, psychological, all of that. We need to use our black and white thinking.
There's no excuse for this.
No, there is not.
Reactive abuse, different conversation once again, but it's more of a defense.
Exactly.
It's reactive defense. It's not the same thing.
Totally different.
It's not the same thing.
And it's because if we introduce the gray area thinking to abusive behavior, it can excuse the harmful behavior and delay critical decision making.
Absolutely, it can, because you can think way too damn long about it.
Right.
And
because you're looking at like, this person is good here, but they're bad here. But I'm going to just take the good instead of, and dismiss the bad. When you need to take them as a whole person and look at the things that they are doing to you that are causing harm.
Yeah, like Lundy Bancroft in his book, Why Does He Do That?
Everyone read that, please.
It's a great book. Talks about a very typical abuser style, which they will be loved by their community and by their friends and by their customers and everyone else. And they'll go to parties and they'll be the center of attention, the life of the party. And then at home, they're a complete ass. They're either physically or emotionally abusive to you. Mm-hmm. And so you will see that person and think, well, that's them and that's them. Doesn't that mean that this is nuanced? Well, no. When it comes to abuse, we're not going to nuance this. We're just not. We're going to say that's dangerous. That's bad. Do not delay the decision in getting to a safe place. Yeah. This could be extremely dangerous for you or your children. This could be bad. Mm-hmm. So get away. So when it comes to abuse, like I've always said, like I don't tell people to leave. With the exception, if there's physical abuse, I will say get somewhere safely as fast as you can.
Yeah, because your life is at stake.
It could be. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People go way too far every day. Yeah.
Okay, so safety and risks. So how many times did you say, I'm not that drunk, or I can still drive, or what did you say? I'm better when I'm drunk.
I'm better after a few beers.
Yeah. Yeah. So driving under the influence is always dangerous.
Can we agree that's bad?
It's bad. Right? It's not good. And gray area thinking can lead you to rationalize the risky behavior.
If anyone's ever seen the movie Flight with Denzel Washington, it's one of my favorite movies.
Such a good movie.
It's a great movie about recovery. It's really, really good. If you're in recovery or even curious about it, dabbling in it, watch that freaking movie. Just do me a favor. It's so good. It's a good film. So the synopsis of the story is that this pilot, extremely talented pilot, is an alcoholic. And he wakes up one morning, does what he always does. He has a few shots of vodka. He has a few bumps of Coke, and he flies the plane. And the plane has a mechanical malfunction that had nothing to do with him being under the influence. And it is the type of malfunction that everyone on that plane should have died almost immediately. It would have just nosedived straight into the ground. Yep. But he was able to wrestle this thing and make some crazy maneuvers.
He was flying upside down.
Because he's so talented, and land it. And I think a few people died. Mm-hmm. But overall, no one could have done what he did. And that was his argument the entire time was, effed up or not, I saved those people. And so he's talking to his co-pilot in the hospital who has like broken legs and like nearly didn't survive it. And his co-pilot sitting there talking to him, he's like, yeah, but you know that no one could have done that. He was like, you know what? What I saw you do with that plane, no one in the world could have ever done. It was the most amazing piece of aviation skill I've ever seen in my life. But you can't sit here and look me in the eye and say that you were 100%.
Ooh.
You cannot look me in the eye and say that you were 100%. And he couldn't argue with that. Yeah. You're right. I wasn't 100%. Even though you're that great, you're not 100%. And that matters, especially when other people's lives and their safety are at risk. So we're talking about safety and things like that. We don't have a whole lot of black and white. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of gray. It's pretty black and white, especially when it comes to like driving under the influence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to let's talk about recovery. I mean, addiction real quick, on how it is very black or white when it comes to substances.
Okay, so there are multiple ways to look at this. I'm going to mention both of them. Okay, so there's abstinence recovery, which is black and white recovery. You are either abstinent from your substance or you are not. Okay, and there's also harm reduction strategies and harm reduction like policies and programs and things like that. So this is just my perspective. This is what I've done because I've tried both, right? I tried to get my mixture just right. I tried to manage it for a very long time. What I discovered over the years is that the number of drinks that I can have is 0 before I take it too far. Because one to me was okay for a little bit, but eventually it led to other stuff. It got me back into drugs and everything else. It always started with 1 though. So my line is 0. But there are people out there who are progressive about recovery and the idea of about recovery being a spectrum that look at recovery as a spectrum. So it's not like, say you were a heroin user and you're going to go use marijuana now.
Right.
Is it better? Yeah. But I would also challenge, are you 100% though? No, you're not 100%, but it's better. I'm not suicidal. Okay. We can agree that's probably a good thing. But when it comes to the way that I view recovery, this is just me because I'm an abstinence recovery guy, is that my recovery is black or white. It's black or white. I can't use substances because I F it up every time. And my pattern over a decade plus shows that I screw it up. I don't know how to manage properly. I just suck at it. I suck at it so bad that I'm unwilling to risk it again. I'm just not going to. I'm not. It means with everything. I'm just not going to risk it. For me, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Me, it's black and white. And I mentioned the harm reduction stuff because I do want people to be curious about recovery. And I don't want to exclude anyone because they're not ready for abstinence.
Right.
Like in my personal opinion, this is just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. It could be worth nothing to you, and that's fine with me. Is that I think that ought to be the goal for a lot of people because we often find that people just go back to their substance of choice.
Right.
But I've also heard the experiences of people, and I trust and believe them. They say that they're happy and they're on some kind of a maintenance program or they're taking like medicated assisted treatment. A lot of people in recovery from abstinence-based recovery like look down on people who are on drugs like Suboxone or methadone or things like that. Where I don't. I think that.
Well, I'd like to know the length of the recovery, though.
Right,
I understand that,
and everyone's
new,
got takes on that too.
Yeah.
Like I've known people
that's
that have
totally
been
different
on
conversation.
Like I knew someone who was on Suboxone for like 20 plus years, and he was never right. Like he was a space cadet. The guy was never right, ever. Whereas people who will get on it and then use it accordingly to get themselves off and wean off of it and live healthy, recovered lives without the substance. Like
your
to me,
intentions matter there.
To me, like my goal was like, I want to live life as I was intended. Like when I came into this world, when I was born into this world as a human, I was sober. Like I didn't have substances in my body. And what that tells me just from a nature and naturalistic standpoint is that this is how I was intended to live. Like this is how I was born to live.
Right.
When I'm artificially putting something in my body, I'm changing the way I feel. I'm not doing myself any favors by doing that. I wanted to learn how to live the way I was intended to live. That was the goal for me.
Yeah.
Right? I understand that's not everyone's goal. I don't want to discourage people. So I want to bring up we talk about gray area here with it. I do not subscribe to a gray area belief in recovery. Right. But I respect your decision to make that.
Okay, that's fine.
I respect other people's, but for me, it is absolutely black and effing white. And I think for a lot of people, it's black or white.
I agree.
It is. And, and they have, and if you're a listener and you know someone like this who doesn't think that it's black and white, you do, because you're looking at the evidence clearly. You're looking at their behavior over the last decade, 20, 30 years, and seeing how they can't use anything. And every time they pick up something, it leads to something else. Yeah. You know that, but they don't. So you know it's black and white. Maybe they don't. They'll get ready when they're ready.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one's going to be the non-negotiable personal values. So so for me, loyalty is non-negotiable. So if you were to, if there was infidelity in our relationship, there's not going to be a gray area there.
There's no second chance with that.
No, there's not. No, there's not, because I'm not going to tolerate that. That's not what I want. That's not what there's no excuse for that. That means that there was something going on within our relationship that I don't feel like I could recover from that.
I feel the same way.
So that is a non-negotiable for me in black and white thinking, and like, boom, there you go. You got to look at your values. Like you could look at honesty, and if somebody's lying to you, you're not going to You're not going to tolerate that. Like that
Yeah.
can be black or white thinking. Your non-negotiable values are very important to you.
Yeah, you might have one for like nonviolence. Like if someone gets violent or physical in a relationship, like that's it. I will never consider going back there. I don't care how good it was. It's just, it's a personal value of mine. I'm not willing to do it. Sexual abuse or sexual coercion, things like that. Like I will not ever be able to feel safe with you again.
Yeah.
If something like that happens.
Right.
You know, I'm not going there. I think that you can have black or white values when it comes to the most important aspects of your life. Those most important.
Yeah.
You can.
And that kind of makes it easier if you have it that way to where there's no gray area, because those are your values. That's something that you protect. And that means that is non-negotiable. This is how it is. If somebody, messes with that, then I'm not going to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
You can just kind of move on from that. Okay. You want to move on to the next thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to talk about the benefits of gray area thinking. So what are the benefits? Like we've talked about why black and white thinking isn't that great or where it's necessary. Why is gray area thinking important?
I think that it can really help you.
Sorry if you heard that.
Become more emotionally aware and emotionally intelligent, because it's both and thinking, right?
Yeah.
So you can be really stressed and happy at the same time.
Stressed and grateful.
Yeah. And say like, what the hell is that about? You know? So for me, it helped me really identify what was going on in me. Like at times when I'd had, like I mentioned, like a really good day, but I felt really stressed out. Like what's really going on here? Like I should be having a good day. Black and white thinking tells me I should be having a good day, but
like if you were doing everything right during the day, like you worked out, you meditated, you ate right, you were having a good day at work, you were doing all the things that you were supposed to do, but you feel anxious and you feel stressed, you would start thinking about that and analyzing it.
Yeah. So and it's really helpful to do it. So why am I anxious? Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. What that tells me is that there's no like magical cure for things, right? It's through examination that I was able to make sense of my emotions, and it was by acknowledging every single one of them as valid and every single one of them is necessary. So when I'm anxious, even though I shouldn't be, quote unquote, shouldn't be, because I see this a lot. People will be like, I've been doing all the things. I've been doing self-care. I've been reading. I've been going to therapy.
Why do I feel how I feel?
Why do I feel this way? Why haven't I gotten better? Well, let's acknowledge the feeling first of all. We're anxious right now. We're fearful, whatever it might be. And it helps me dig deeper about what that emotion really is. Sometimes I confuse my emotions for other things. So I remember I called it anxious. This is a long time ago. I felt anxious because I heard someone else that was roughly my age talking about how successful they were. This was before recovery anyway. This is like something I look back on and really thought about, but felt anxious. Well, was it anxiety? No, it was envy.
I was going to say, were you jealous?
Jealous and envious.
Yeah.
But it felt like anxiety to me. So I didn't really know what my own emotions were because I'd never thought that hard about them. They were either good or bad, right or wrong. It was, black and white.
High or low.
Black and white,
Yeah.
I didn't think too much. I was either happy or sad. I had two emotions.
Yeah.
Happy or sad. But sad is so many other things, right? Sad can be tired sometimes. Sad can be anxious. Sad can be resentful. Sad can be envious of somebody. Sad can be lack of purpose. It can be a number of things. And sometimes happiness can be simply relief. Like we talked about this, and this is a tough one for a lot of people, but we're just going to talk about it, is that if you've been a caretaker of someone that you love dearly, doesn't matter, and it's been very difficult caretaking, like an elderly person in your life, I don't want to say it's a burden, but it's very difficult to do. Like, let's say you have to travel a long distance to visit with them. And let's say they've got like people in memory, assisted living, like memory facilities where they're not really there anymore. Like you're there with them because you need to be there with them because it's loyalty. That's my mother. I'm going to be there with them. When they do pass away, you feel a sense of relief, but the world says you should feel sad. Yeah. And so it's acknowledging those two things at the same time and saying, okay, I am a complex person. I'm not as simple as it appears to be, like in textbooks where you're either happy or sad. You've got these two emotions to choose from. You can be sad, devastated, but also relieved at the very same time.
Right.
And so I think that some of the benefits here is that you really become more tuned to your own emotions when you start to explore them in every one of them and start to ask, what is that emotion? The feelings wheel was the first time I was able to really look at this. The feelings wheel, if you've never seen it, they're in therapy clinics everywhere.
I posted it in the TUFO community.
You can Google them and
ago.
check it out, see what I'm talking about. But it starts with the big emotion, one that most people are used to, like sad.
Sad.
Okay, well, what does sad mean? And then it drills down to like a bigger category, like with 10 different emotions. And then you pick one and then you drill down a little more. And it gets down to a handful of emotions that generally run our lives. Mm-hmm. But they're much more complex than happy, sad, good, or bad. You know, like in treatment, they used to be like, how are you today? I'm like, good.
Good.
Like, nope.
No.
Grab the wheel.
Nope.
I'm like, God
nope.
damn it.
How you
grab
feeling?
that stupid wheel again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really have to go through it. So I think it really helps with allowing you to identify what your emotions are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Become more tuned with you. And then you also become more tuned with the people that you love and care about the most, that you want to be part of their lives.
I think that's good. I kind of take a different approach sometimes when I'm doing really great and I feel good, or I don't feel good, but I'm doing all the things. And then at the end of the day, I'm still feeling a little overwhelmed or stressed. Sometimes I just let that be. I don't overanalyze it too much. I kind of just accept it for what it is in the moment and think that, well, maybe tomorrow will be okay and I'll address it if it's worse, if I'm still overwhelmed. But right now, I'm just going to feel this feeling right now.
I love that perspective. And that's like, I went through something almost just like that. There was, when I was like new in recovery, I wanted to be the perfect recovery student. Like I wanted to do everything I was asked and complete it 100% because I really wanted to get this thing. I wanted it more than anything. And I had bad days and I wasn't honest about it when I did. Because in recovery, everything's supposed to be better, right?
Yeah.
So I would talk about it, like, oh, it's awesome. You know, everything's just great. But I was having really tough days. I remember I was in an IOP meeting and this guy came in and he was all out of sorts. He was sober, but he was like really crazy that day, like saying all kinds of wild shit. And he was like, I'm just not taking myself seriously today. And I was like, I love the honesty in that statement. He'd been doing really well in his recovery, but he had a really off day. He woke up late. He was tired. He was anxious. He was irritable. He was stressed. He was hungry. He had human, right? The human condition. And he was like, I'm just not going to take myself very seriously today. I've had a really good month when I look back on it. And I think that if you stretch out things long enough, you can look at it and be like something like that, like a recovery journey or a recovery journey for a spouse and say like, you're going to have setbacks at times. But on the whole, like you just don't have to take yourself seriously today. And that is an option. You can be like, you know what? It's going to be fast food and Hallmark tonight or whatever it is for you.
And that's okay. Well, and this also makes me think about when people get into therapy, they think, oh man, these sessions are going to be great. I'm starting to heal. I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow. I'm going to be the best version of myself possible. You know, I can't wait to do this. And you'll have some really good therapy sessions, but then you'll have some times where you go in and you feel like absolute shit.
You come out worse.
You come out feeling worse. You come out feeling like, oh, why am I doing this? This doesn't feel good. Healing is supposed to be good. Growing is supposed to be good. Therapy is supposed to be good. Guys, this is part of the gray area part is that you are going to have these sessions that make you feel like shit. And typically that's where the growth is going to come from. Yeah. And that means that you just need to keep going and you're going to learn stuff. You're going to self-reflect and you're going to be like, oh, this is a big deal.
Yeah. It mitigates that perfectionism like we talked about.
Yeah, it does.
Where like things are not linear, y'all. They're just not.
No.
They're not.
No.
We think they are, but they're not. And that just comes from this bias that things are going in the right direction or the wrong direction.
Yeah, we'll talk about that whenever we get to the social place.
But some of the other benefits of it. So I mentioned it creates a nuanced understanding of yourself and your own emotions. It also promotes tolerance of ambiguity because life is rarely as clear cut as we like to make it.
Facts.
And it helps you tolerate uncertainty without feeling like you need to rush toward one extreme or the other. Sometimes you can operate in limbo because you don't have all the information yet, and we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know, you can get some news that like your job is doing a bunch of layoffs. Black or white thinkers, I'm screwed.
That's going to be me.
That's me. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
We got to sell our house. We got to leave town.
And that's catastrophizing too.
It is.
So that's another cognitive distortion that all or nothing thinking goes into.
Yeah. But ambiguity is tolerating ambiguity. Let's sit in this uncomfortable uncertainty, understand that no outcomes are certain and we are going to be okay one way or the other. And we can sit in this place right now and understand that right now, at this very moment,
everything's okay.
Everything is okay and as it should be.
Yeah.
And we don't have to troubleshoot stuff that hasn't happened yet.
No.
We don't have to go down that road.
No, it helps you become flexible so that you can adapt to all of these challenges that life throws at you.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say. It really helps you become emotionally flexible, if that's even a thing, where it's like you can coexist in multiple emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
fear and hope at the same time. You can do that. That's an option, y'all. You could actually do that. It's not like a menu where it's like, choose one, you know, like true or false. No. What about C, all the above?
Yeah.
You know, that was always my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's another one here?
It also helps you become more compassionate. So it'll give you more empathy towards yourself and others by recognizing that none of us are perfect.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I think those are some good ones, and we can move on from those. I think a lot of people can look at the benefits of gray area thinking. Like, I shouldn't have to convince you that black or white thinking is the way to be.
Right.
I don't see how that really serves you unless you are a computer.
Right. And I mean, it gives you the permission to be imperfect.
It does.
You know, you can make mistakes and you can grow gradually and you can do all these things. And that is going to reduce stress whenever you realize that you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah. A lot of black or white thinking, like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that because I think that we can bring that up later when we talk about where it comes from.
Okay. Well, we're on the next one. Okay. Let's talk about where gray area thinking or where black and white thinking is in society.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere. Think about how we were raised. Think about what promotes extreme thinking, like social media, politics, religion, school.
Yep. Yeah, all the above. Like, all these things have a very binary way of thinking.
Yeah, so we live in well, if you're in the United States, when voting comes around, we can vote for two parties.
You get two choices.
Two choices, well, three if you count.
There
The
are
middle,
like,
you can count the middle ground, but it's still not the middle ground.
there are like 9 different kinds of Oreo at the store right now. And I can pick 9 different kinds of Oreos, but some of our
Go to Cheesecake Factory and look at all of the
look at the menu there. But when it comes to our
Sometimes
like some of the
it's
most
too many
important
options.
decisions that we need to make as a society, you get 2 shots.
Yes.
And that's the United States. I know that Canada is different, many other countries are different,
Right.
but like, this is crazy to me.
Right. And also we live in a society where if somebody tells you their opinion, you can automatically say what all their other opinions are because it's all black or white thinking.
Yeah, this is crazy to me. Like, my favorite people in the world are those that will surprise me with a take that they have. I've always loved people that operate in like this sort of gray area where, like, if you tell me that you are pro-gun, for instance, I'm not, and listen, hey, before we go anywhere, we are politically agnostic.
Yes,
I do not fit into any party.
politics.
I don't criticize any party or any perspectives.
This is for conversation
This is
purpose.
conversation purposes only.
Yes.
Thank you, Paige. Okay. When it comes to like, if you said you were pro-gun, like, I could reasonably assume that you are also pro-life and that you are also like very harsh on immigration ideas. And many people would be nodding their head like, yep, I am. And I would say, what are the chances that you actually believe all those things versus this is how the system has been set up for you to choose? And I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just asking you to consider that for a moment. Like, really, really challenge that.
Yeah.
And say, like, do all these things really follow like a progression of belief, or is it just this is how it rolled? And like, on the flip side, if you tell me that like you're pro-life, I can also assume, or pro-choice, that you're also like anti-gun and like you're for immigration and things like that. Like, when people have opposing viewpoints to me, that tells me that they're critical thinkers, and I like that. And it's not to say that all the others are dumb or anything. I know that there are great people on both sides of the aisle.
No, we're just challenging you to think.
Challenge you to think. Like,
Yeah.
so like I'm always interested when someone tells me something like, and I know people like this. It's like, well, I'm pro-choice, but I'm also very pro-gun. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That tells me that you really thought about this.
Right.
Tell me
Right.
about your take here. It's just, it's interesting to me because they operate in this sort of gray area, but because this, like, society, especially when it comes to politics, will tell us like, it ought to be this way or that way. These are our choices. And they just sort of like split the aisle and say, well, if you say that, then I have to say the opposite. You know, and social media is another one where things operate in effing extremes.
Oh, yeah.
The most extreme viewpoints are the ones that get the most views because they are, by their very nature, extreme, which means that you don't see it every day. So it's going to get more attention. So it's the person that says the crazy thing that goes viral.
Yeah.
You know, it's the person with the way out there opinion that goes viral. And then what we think, and I've had this happen where I was thinking about just this the other day, like, it's like your sphere of influence and the people around you, like you can have this false consensus effect where let's say that your algorithm is showing you something over and over and over, and you can start to believe like in your little world that like everyone thinks this way or everyone must be saying this or doing this, where my algorithm might look totally different than that.
Right.
You know, but it creates this and it breeds this extreme black and white thinking. And it's designed that way.
I know.
That's why social media is very dangerous.
Very
like,
dangerous.
I try to post and ghost as much as I can, especially on TikTok. Because that's where it's like their algorithm like really knows how people's brains work.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really good at it.
Yeah.
So like I try to stay the hell away from it. But it promotes black or white thinking. It promotes this division.
Yeah, it does.
In your thought, and doesn't really ask you to critically think about much of anything.
Yeah.
It delivers exactly what you know, what it knows you think will be like extreme, and then have you buy in.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're just challenging you to look at where your beliefs and values come from and if you truly believe them in deep down.
Or if you hold them just because you were told you should.
Exactly. Yeah. So we talked about politics, and I think that this happens in religion as well, because there's a lot of like good or bad, or you know, the evil and dark, light or dark, all those things. And I feel like a lot of the times it's very hard to find the middle ground within religion.
It is. Yeah, it can be. Like those, like if you look at the book, like if you look at the books, whichever one you follow as like the word of God, then who are you to challenge that? You know, so there doesn't leave a whole lot of room for questions, like priests and good ones and like pastors and rabbis or whoever, whatever faith you follow. That's what they're there for, is to help you make sense of all these questions that humans have, they tend to have. But it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for ambiguity. It doesn't leave a whole lot of room for gray area thinking on a lot of different subjects. Yeah. There's a book called Good Boundaries and Goodbyes. So this is United States. Many of our listeners are from the United States. So, you know, a lot of people practice Christianity. That is a really great book to read if you struggle with black and white thinking when it comes to Christianity.
Christianity, yes.
This is an author that I believe she did leave a relationship, and she makes a biblical case for divorce. She talks about the covenants of marriage. She talks about what is agreed upon by both people when you enter into a marriage. And even before God, like you leaving doesn't necessarily break the vows if someone broke the vows for years and years and years and years and years and abused that, abused those vows and weaponized those vows. She gets into this and she does a very good job at navigating through this. Paige and I both listened to the book. It's really, really good. Right. But she sort of finds that gray area.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's almost heresy for people. Like, hang on, you can't say that.
Like, wait, that's not what I was raised with. That's not what I was trained with. That's not what I
was told that
that's
marriage is forever, no matter what.
Yeah.
And one of our listeners, I've brought this up before. One of our listeners and followers had this idea about wedding vows. He was like, you know, like people take their vows seriously. A lot of people like if listen, I made these before God. If that's the way that you made your vows anyway. Some people write their own. Some people make traditional vows where it's like in sickness and in health, till death do us part. You know, through the good and the bad, no matter what, we stick together. End of effing story. There are no outs or loopholes or anything else. And his perspective was like, that's not even rational to do that.
Yeah.
Like, why would I agree to show up time and time and time again when you're abusing me and you're abusing my kindness and like my
there.
Me being here, like you're weaponizing this thing that we agreed to do. Like how about this? I vow to show up for you even when I'm at my worst. And if you promise to do the same thing, there is no out.
Yeah.
You have to keep showing up. And if you don't, you've broken it.
Right.
That's what we should be agreeing to do.
Absolutely.
You know, but they can get so weaponized, but that comes from this sort of religious perspective about like, you're making these vows before God and this is what we ought to do. But why? Like, why would you vow to do that?
Right.
Why would someone vow to be in an abusive relationship, be beat or, you know, tormented emotionally, and you can't go anywhere?
Yeah.
because you made a deal?
No.
Like, that's sick in some ways. Like,
It is.
Question it.
Question
And
it.
I will, like,
Yes.
crucify me for that. I don't care. Question it.
Yeah,
I will say all
whatever.
day long, question it. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
insane.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane.
All right.
I don't think that I don't think that your creator would care about that. I think he'd be totally cool with it, or she, whoever.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. Now in school. So this is, in school, there's a lot of black and white thoughts.
Oh yeah.
So I think of, the kids talk about this all the time
It's
too.
so crazy.
How when one kid gets in trouble, the entire class gets in trouble. And and it's like, okay, well, make that make sense. I get it from a management standpoint where it's easier to deal with the masses than it is to deal with one person
Individuals.
in a way when it comes to that kind of thing. If there's like a whole bunch of kids and it's like, all right, you all have to be quiet now because one person screwed up. But that's really teaching people that, okay, if I mess up, I'm going to screw it up for everybody and that's all or nothing. That's black or white.
And life doesn't work that way.
Life does not work that way. And I think there's a lot of things within school that do teach this. There's a lot of just the rules and the things that are
Think
like
about
you're not
standardized
supposed
testing.
to like you're not supposed to question these things. It's like I'm the adult, I'm the teacher, I'm this that. I'm sorry, but I there are things that I want my children to question, and I am trying to teach them to have that gray area
in a respectful,
healthy way. Yes, not in an asshole, petty way. Okay, we're doing it in a way that is, I believe, super beneficial for them whenever they do get out of school, because they're going to recognize these gray area thought patterns instead of doing exactly what they're told to do. I mean, there are just some things that share your experience from high school.
Okay, so our high school had a dress code policy that you couldn't have facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to be clean shaven every day. And I was sick for about a week. I missed like 4 or 5 days of school, and I was way behind. It was like coming up near, I think it was finals. And I needed to be there because I'd missed lessons. I was behind on my work. And this is back before we had like internet access for, you couldn't like turn in your assignments and email
You
them.
wouldn't have done that anyway.
But either way, like it wasn't even an option. Okay. So I came back to school,
You skipped school all
and
the
I
time.
had like a 5 o'clock shadow, like a stubble beard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in class, like taking notes diligently. I'd already gone to like 3 classes that day, but like like a teacher saw me in the hallway and was like, "You need to go to the office." I'm like, "What's wrong?" They're like, "You have stubble on your face." My first thought was like, yeah, like it grows, it happens. Like it's facial hair.
I'm a boy.
Like, yeah, it happened. Like I didn't shave this morning. I'm sorry. Like, I'll take care of it. They were like, "No, there's no exceptions. This is like, there's a no tolerance policy on this." And so they sent me to the office, and I'm sitting there. So I'm sitting now with like the vice principal, and he's like, "You have to go to in-school suspension." And what you do in in-school suspension is you sit there and you copy either the Constitution or Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, or like the Declaration of Independence, as many times as it takes in an 8-hour school day. That's all you do is just it's mindless work, right? So I proposed, I said, "Okay, I understand that I have violated a rule, and I'm sorry for that. Really, I am. I should have shaved this morning and I didn't, and I understand. But listen, hear me out. This is an educational institution. Your goal here at the end of the day is to educate me, and I want to be educated. I don't get educated copying this crap. I've missed school. Can I please go to class, and I will serve Saturday suspension? I will come in here on Saturday and sit through however many you need me to, but I really need to be in class." And he didn't even consider it. He was like, "Nope, policy says you got to go to suspension." And I was like, "Okay,
Sure.
procedure, sir. That's what procedure says." And so I walked my ass right back to class, started taking notes. And then about an hour later, they realized that I wasn't in school suspension. So they dragged me down there and they gave me 2 days. What sense did that make, though?
Seriously.
And I will stand on a hill to this day and say that is not in the spirit of education. It's in the spirit of discipline. I understand that, but what good it did you? Look at me now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
come on now.
No, and back in the day, I would have said, "Well, Matt, that was the rule. That was the rule. They're teaching you discipline.
You did.
just
You
need to
argued
do
with
what
me
you need."
about
Yeah, I sure as hell did, because that's how I was raised. Follow the rules. Follow the rules. Follow the rules. And of course, the rules are in place, but I think that they need to be questioned sometimes. And I love that you did that.
But I understand, and I still agree with the fact that you ought to have rules like that make processes and managerial decision making easier, right? You can't sit there and make exceptions all the time, because then you're going to have someone say, well, you let him do it, why can't I do it? But this kid doesn't really care, but he knows he can take advantage of a loophole. So I understand. I get it. It's not lost on me why this happens. But I think that this is what plays into our black and white thinking in our personal lives, in our own minds when we're adults and we're out of school.
Yeah.
It follows us.
It does.
It's programmed in us from a very young age. It's silly. Like the whole thing when the kids, like there's one kid in one of the kids' classes that talks and gets everyone in trouble, and the entire 5th grade has to be quiet for lunch now because of one kid.
Yeah.
And they do this because it's easier, right? These are underpaid teachers that are doing their absolute best.
Yeah.
And they bring it forward and they single a kid out. Well, now you got a mad parent in your office.
Well,
you got all kinds of other issues. You got...
Yeah, but I also think that they have to do it that way because I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, and then now I messed up. Keep going.
No, there could be any number of reasons that they do this, right? But
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's for ease of process, if I had to guess here. Because
it's to show the other kids to not F up, because then everyone is going to be in trouble. Kind of like the court system works.
Yeah,
it's
like a public hanging gets people's attention.
Right.
You know, like
right,
they used to
right,
hang people in town square for a reason.
Yeah.
See what happens when you mess up?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's really beneficial to punish everyone. Like,
No,
that's not how the real world works.
No,
if
it's
you're
not.
in a profession, like if you're in a workplace and your coworker never shows up and never does his job and you do yours, he's probably going to get fired before you.
Yeah.
Because they look at the individual and say, this guy sucks. We got to fire him. They're not going to fire everyone.
Yeah.
Because one person screwed up. It just doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
It's silly. Black and white thinking permeates every aspect of society, oftentimes because it's easier. It's just easier. I think that we love shortcuts.
Yes, we like to categorize, we like to put it all into buckets and
there
labels
are
and all the things.
Billions of people on this planet. The people that run big institutions that are in charge of these things had to make it simple in some way, fashion. So that's one way that they decided to do it.
Yep.
Just make things simple, black and white. And I think the human mind loves that too. I think
it does.
we love to make things, it's simplistic mental work, you know? You don't have to think too hard about things.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
So
go.
I was just going to go through these really quickly on some of my real life examples of what I've dealt with gray area thinking or black and white thinking.
Yeah.
And this one was, I would fear changing my mind because I thought it would make me a hypocrite. But it just means that I'm learning and changing. And it was very all or nothing thinking whenever I would just stop and say, no, I'm not going to think another way because that's going to be hypocritical.
That's crazy.
Matt and I did this for a really long time.
Like, not crazy. I don't mean to criticize you, but you know what I mean.
No,
Like, that's
you're
wild.
not criticizing me.
That's wild.
That's not criticizing. That's like
Like,
legit.
you tell
That
me
was crazy.
As new information comes to light,
Right.
and you agree with it,
Yeah.
you don't want to say that because it would be hypocritical because you said something else beforehand.
Right. Because I feel like, oh, well, I've already made my stance here. And that means that that's what I need to stand on this hill and die on. You know, like I need to be on that because that's what I thought was right. And that's where I was. And that's what I've put out there. But the reality is things change. Life changes. We have to be able to change our minds whenever we feel like it's necessary to change our minds.
Yeah.
Science changes all the time. You were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, like medicine. Like, you know what we used to do to people, like to treat diseases and stuff?
Yes,
like
everything
for
changes.
alcoholics, they used to like shock treatment and stuff like that. They used to lock us up and put us in asylums and straitjackets and stuff like that, you know? But that's what we knew at the time.
Theories change. Therapy.
Imagine if we just decided to never change that, even though we had new information. Because we just didn't, because we did it one way. If someone tells me, well, because we've always done it that way. I always question those types of things.
Oh, yeah.
If it's working, I'm not going to question it. But if it's
if it's not working,
and you're just doing
then
it, so it's just
what are we doing here?
What, comfortable?
Yeah. That's why I think a lot of programs from back in the day need to be revamped, obviously, because there are a lot of old school that were based around laws back then, you know, like Al-Anon and AA and things like that.
Every time I go to the treatment center and we read like a piece of text from the Alcoholics Anonymous book, it's written in 1939, could possibly be the most chauvinistic piece of literature I've ever read.
Yes, it
that I
is.
personally ever read.
Yeah.
And I always try to use like he or she or they or them, things like that when I'm reading it, because it's just like he, him, everything that's written in that thing. It's like, why aren't we updating this? But the old timers will tell you because it works. You don't F with something that works. But do you think effing with it in that way is going to change the function of it?
Like, seriously.
Do you really? They're like, you don't touch stuff like that. I'm like, you're nuts. I can't even have a conversation
that's
with you.
very black or white thinking.
Absolutely it is. Like, we can't update this
so
for
dangerous.
There aren't just men in recovery. All kinds of people.
I feel like you even took AA to a gray area
I did.
place. You did not do the black and white. You did what they told you to do, but you did it on your own.
With someone else's guidance.
Yes.
Right. I wasn't making crap along up like as I went, but I was absolutely making it my own. Mm-hmm. I was making it my own.
Yeah.
Like AA allows for spiritual freedom, which I thought was really cool. And I probably would have left if not for that. Like, ever talked about like I was an atheist at one point in my life?
Yes, baby.
I think I've talked about that here, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't sure. Okay, well,
we've talked about it.
I don't need to explain it. I was.
We had a whole episode.
I was, and they kind of gave me spiritual freedom to create. Like, what do you think spirituality is? I'm like, holy shit, that's an option. That's an option. Like, I can just like tell you what I think it is. They were like, yeah. And if not for that, I probably wouldn't be sober today.
Speaking of that, we're on to the Tao.
Let's talk about the Tao.
That is very gray area. The Tao is what it changed my life spirituality wise. It's something that Matt brought to my attention when he was in recovery and treatment. Somebody told him, hey, have you ever heard about this? It's the Tao Te Ching. We have a whole episode on spirituality if y'all want to go listen to that. That actually talks about the Tao. But I really wanted to talk about the gray area part because it's a lot about yin and yang. And it's not like one side or the other. It's about the balance of yin and yang that you can't have. That it's about having both.
Yeah.
It's about having it all. What is your experience on the Tao and how it's gray area?
It was the first thing I'd ever read in my entire life that like just made me bawl uncontrollably because I felt like, holy crap, I'm not crazy after all. Too. And other people have felt this way.
Yes.
And it was so old and ancient. I was like, wow, I had no idea that like this was not a new thing either. Like people have always felt this way. It's just I hadn't been exposed to it because I'm from a small town in Texas.
Yeah.
It just never occurred to me that was an option to think about things that way because I always had, and it was amazing. The Tao has really given me, I think, just balance in my life, like understanding that like the bird didn't shit on my windshield, the bird just shit is like Taoism. Like in a nutshell, that's like Taoism. Mm-hmm. Like bad things happen like all the time. There's really no rhyme or reason for it. Sometimes they just happen to land on you. Yeah. And that's okay. It's like, that's the way things roll. I love that about it. I love the duality of it, that like, there is no such thing. Like you can look at things in duality and like there's good and evil. But there's really not. Like if you think about like, what is evil? What's the opposite of good? So one can't exist without the other. So you have to have both. Yeah. So are they bad? Like is one bad, one good?
It's reality.
It's just, it is.
It just is what it is.
Like the idea of acceptance was the basis of a lot of my like early growth. And I think that it really helped me with that. Like really helped just accept things as they were. Like helped me accept reality and helped me deal with a lot of the crazy emotions that I had. It was really helpful. Like the paradoxes.
That's what I was going to talk about. The paradox
if
of
you're
the weakness
someone
and strength.
Raised anything like me and like I was raised in the South in the United States, the first time I read it, I did not understand 1/10 of it because it works in paradoxes. Yes. And it's like that. No, wait, that doesn't make sense to us, but it's a very Eastern way of thinking because it's Chinese. Whereas Westerners, like we work in black or whites, but they work in paradoxes. Yes. Like this can be true and so can that.
Well, it's like water. It always talks about water whenever we read about it. And water is a big deal for me. It's something that I just, not that it nourishes and it flows and it's just, there's nothing deep about water. But it's soft, but it can wear down the hardest stone. So it's soft, but it's hard. Like you find the flexibility in it, and the paradox is just mind blowing.
It's
like
one of
think
the most powerful forces in nature.
It really is. But it's
so gentle.
Gentle. It goes through your fingers. It
can be so soothing and like comforting. Yeah. But it can also destroy.
Yeah. So I mean, we could talk on this all day long. We've had a whole episode on it, but I just wanted to talk about that. That's what really helped me with my gray area thoughts.
And I will say something as well. We're talking about Taoism here. I think there's an author by the name of Brennan Manning who wrote a book called Ruthless Trust, and it's the Ragamuffin's path to God, I think. But it's this guy this guy like spoke to me. It's a book about Christianity.
Yeah, you've talked about it before.
I have? Okay.
Yeah, it's on our website.
It's old. I think we've talked about this a long time ago, but the guy speaks in a way about it that helped me identify a lot of the gray area in it and helped me really find beauty in something that I once despised. Because he's able to find that. But you know why? Because he's a freaking alcoholic, and he speaks in a way that makes all this make sense to me. And I loved it. I recommended it to someone actually tonight. I was like, you've got to read that. I was on a stair climber at 5 a.m, bawling my eyes out, reading the book, like reading the physical pages of the book. I didn't even have an audiobook because I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is so good. Like, this speaks to my soul. And it was something that I could never fathom I would ever be reading about. I used to argue with people about this stuff. You know? And here I am, like loving the literature.
God, you're such a hypocrite.
Exactly, and I could say that. You know, like I can't enjoy this because I argued about it one time. No, like as new information comes to light and as my heart softens and changes, I become open to a lot of things.
It's growth. It's not hypocrisy.
It's absolute growth. Like I just. As we end this, I think it's just important that you recognize that you get a say.
End it.
Oh, we still got something?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the end.
No, babe. That's why I was trying to move on from this.
Disregard. Let's do it.
Sorry, this is going to be a long episode.
The show goes on.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay. So this is something that was brought to my attention today that made me think that we teach our kids to be kind, right?
Sure.
And what about being kind to those kids that are bullying you or constantly mean to you? And a lot of parents will say, you know, they're just probably going through a tough time and they need more kindness in their lives. And I think that this is very black and white thinking, and it's completely invalidating for the children being bullied. We can explain that maybe they are having a tough time at home and we can be understanding and have compassion, but that doesn't mean that we allow it to keep happening. We don't allow these kids to keep bullying us. We can understand that they may be going through a tough time, but we still need to stand up for ourselves and not tolerate it. What are we teaching them? The kids, if we're continuously being kind to them over and over again when they're treating us like shit, they're going to not learn anything because they're not being held responsible or held accountable for their actions.
Yeah, fuck them kids.
I love her.
Fuck them kids. I think that show them more kindness is the worst advice you can ever give a victim.
I think so too. And it makes my mind just go like, what are we doing?
Find kindness in your heart, I hope, for them at some point in your life. But that's not even a requirement.
No.
What's important is that you're able to identify that this is not okay to treat people this way.
Yes.
This person needs help, but it's not your job as the victim to show them that.
No.
Like, let's get an administrator involved. Where the hell are their parents? How about that? Okay.
Well, I mean, kids can be mean sometimes.
Sure, kids can be mean. I'm talking about like bullies.
But I'm talking about just kids that are going through a hard time that I know would be going through a hard time, but they're still just being mean. And they'll, use the excuse of, well, maybe they don't even have an excuse because they don't really understand because they're kids.
People make the excuses for them. But
people make excuses for them.
I see this all the time in like Facebook groups. It's like,
yeah.
Well, you have no clue what they've been through. Hey, he just gave my kid a black eye. That's not okay.
That's not okay.
You're completely invalidating the fact that my kid got a black eye for nothing today.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Right.
And this goes the same for any abusive relationship or any relationship where there's addiction. You cannot just excuse something for one factor. You can't. You can't look at it black and white and say, well, they're an addict, so they've got a lot of shit going on. Just you got to forgive them. That's the rule that we made up. That's not the way it works, y'all. It's not the way it works.
No.
Do not tell victims to show more kindness when they're in a terrible situation. That's not helping anybody. This is where gray area thinking can be bad.
Yeah.
As you start to fade into areas like this, where it's like, I want you to challenge, why is it bad? Well, if they've been through something, tough, well, shouldn't we show them kindness? I want you to challenge that thought too. It goes both ways. Challenge that too. Well, no, because I'm being harmed here. Remember that first thing we talked about where it's necessary to have black and white thinking?
Yeah.
It comes down to it right back here.
Yeah.
Not okay. Not okay. Not okay to tolerate abuse because someone else has had a hard time or a hard life.
No, it's not, because the harmful behaviors are still impacting you no matter what no matter why they're doing what they're doing.
Like,
that's what we try to get across on almost every episode.
Like, my best friend's a therapist, and so I've made the joke, like, don't you have like the last generation of parents took credit for your success as a therapist, because isn't that why everyone's in therapy?
Damn.
It's for their parents, right?
Yeah.
But I think any reasonable person can look at their parents as humans and say that they treated you a certain way because of the way that their parents treated them. And you can have empathy for that and also say, F that, you can't treat me that way.
Boom.
And that's the dichotomy in black and white thinking where it's beneficial.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to get into real quick. This is the last part that we're going to get into of how gray area thinking, how we should utilize it in unhealthy relationships.
I'm chewing
You just
over here.
put something in your mouth.
I'm chewing over here and I don't want to do it in the mic. So if I step back and you're on YouTube wondering, why is he back there looking all weird? It's because I'm chewing on something.
Grabbed something from the table and stuck it in your mouth. I was like, okay. All right, so let's look at the black and white thinking of, my partner is either a good person or a bad person. A gray area thinking would be my partner may have some good qualities and still be abusive, and their abuse is never acceptable. So this perspective is allowing you to acknowledge both sides of the person, but does not excuse the harmful behavior. It helps separate the actions from them, but offers the clarity that good moments don't erase the abusive ones.
Yeah.
This is kind of similar to something that I posted in the community last week, I believe, about how a lot of people separate non-sober and sober people. And they're like, oh, they're great when they're sober, but they suck when they're not. Well,
I think part of the reason they do that is because of a black and white thought that takes place, which is that we know that alcohol and substances can exacerbate bad behaviors.
Yeah.
And make people do some crazy shit.
Okay.
So those all get lumped into this black and white bucket called substance behavior.
Yeah.
Versus human behavior, like who the person is, Billy behavior.
Okay.
And so it's once again black and white thinking that does this.
Right. It is. But I mean, it doesn't matter effed up or not, their behaviors are impacting
It doesn't
you.
matter.
It doesn't matter. You're still being harmed.
Not matter, y'all. And for everyone that tells me he's such a good guy or he's such a great dad, okay, back up to the first thing you told me, which is that he said how many DWIs this year, and he does what to you? He says what to you? He hits you? This is not acceptable. I don't care how stellar of a guy he is. That's not okay.
No.
I don't care that he had a tough childhood and he's struggling. It's not okay. You can have empathy for him. And I do. I have empathy. I still volunteer plenty of hours in my week for people that are struggling. And I will never stop doing that and being there for them. I will never stop doing that. I don't expect their victims to do it.
Ooh. Damn. That was good.
It's people walking in the line of fire, man. It's tough to watch.
Yeah. All right. So understanding the reality of change, black and white thinking saying they will either change completely or they will never change at all. Gray area thinking is my partner might want to change and still be unable or unwilling to make the necessary changes.
Or the changes that are the most important to you.
Yep. So this can, it just helps you accept the possibility of change without being stuck in false hope.
Yeah.
Keeping you grounded in the reality of the situation.
We've talked about gauging your partner's capacity for change and being realistic about that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like what I mean by that is knowing what you know about your person. And if you've been with them for a decade or more, or however long, you know for the most part what they're capable of. You know. You've watched them make changes. You've watched them grow or not grow. You know what they're capable of doing. The pattern persists essentially. For the most part, like even though you can make improvements one way or the other, if they've never shown growth, don't expect them to show a bunch of growth all of a sudden.
Yeah.
In just the ways that you need it.
Right.
It's unlikely.
Right. Okay. Recognizing that leaving is a process. So black and white thinking might say, I either have to leave now or I'm stuck forever. And I see this a lot. And I try to emphasize that it takes time to leave. The process is, it takes time. It doesn't mean that you can't just leave immediately, and you don't have to stay stuck forever. So gray area thinking is going to say, is leaving an abusive relationship is difficult, and I can make progress at my own pace while seeking support.
Yeah. Like we've always said, like we're here to love you through every step of your own journey.
Yeah.
If you do come to that point where you think you need to leave, and we're going to understand that like that is a process that you're going to walk through. I was reading, I think it was a domestic violence statistic the other day that it was like A woman generally tries to leave up 7 times, I believe it is, before they finally
Yes.
leave an abuser.
Yes.
It's
7 is the magic number with a lot of things.
And when people listen to our show, or they take our course, or they work through one of our modules, like a relationship evaluation or something like that, like they feel like now that they're out of the cave, in this sense, Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave, that now they're supposed to be making this huge decision because now I know the truth and I have to do it. That's not necessarily true. That's black or white thinking. Once again,
Right.
It's just great. It's going to take what it's going to take, but we don't want you to deny your reality.
Yeah.
But we also understand that it's going to take what it takes because these are heavy things to process and work through. And sometimes people can show you just enough that would give you a reason to stick around. And there are going to be setbacks, but you feel like I've seen more growth than setbacks, so it's worth it. Like everyone's situation is a little bit nuanced and different. Ultimately, our goal is to provide you with the clarity to make those choices yourself.
Yep. So the last one was going to be see beyond the hope trap, which we talk about the hope trap all the time. Black and white thinking is there's hope for my partner to change, so I have to stay. But gray area thinking says I can hope for my partner's change and realize that staying in the relationship may not be healthy for me regardless of that hope.
Yeah. Well, reframe the hope totally.
Yeah. Reframe the hope.
That as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. There's so many ways that you can use this to your benefit, where it has been to your detriment to think in black and white terms.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the closeout?
That's it.
Okay, so I was just going to sum it up. What I was going to say earlier is that many of us have been programmed with black or white thinking. Okay, it's not always just your fault. I don't want people thinking, I don't want you black or white thinking that either. Oh my God, I suck.
Right.
I don't think, no.
It goes along with overanalyzing.
This is a skill that we develop and you can learn and you can grow over time. And it will not be perfect. It takes a lot of practice. It feels incredibly uncomfortable in the beginning. It feels like you're breaking some sort of rule. Like you feel like a police officer is going to jump around the corner any second and be like, you can't do that. It feels so strange to start to think with that kind of autonomy, but it's possible. And don't take things too far one way or the other, because for me anyway, I took black or white thinking, gray
area
thinking way too far, where I was justifying every bad behavior I had. And spouses can do the very same thing.
Yeah.
You can justify any number of bad behaviors because what they've been through, because of their past, because of how hard they're trying, and you're not looking at reality. Mm-hmm. Look for the balance, look for the middle. Be rational, guys. Try to be rational as you possibly can. Learn how to sit with multiple emotions at the same time. That is a new concept. It was for me. I know it's going to be for a lot of different people.
Absolutely.
That hear this and think, wow, yeah, these things can be, I can be completely saddened with grief, and I can also be very relieved. I can be really hopeful and also emotionally destroyed and depressed.
Yeah.
These things can take place at the same time. They can. And when they do, recognize them and start to really understand yourself better. Once you understand yourself better, what we're really about here is returning that focus inward on you and the things that you can and cannot control. You're not going to be able to control the world, what people do, the bird that shit, the boss that fires you, the kid that comes home with an issue or a black eye or any number of things, but you are going to be able to handle these things. That is our goal.
Yes.
I always thought that there would be some adult instruction manual at some point in life where they would hand it to you. Like there's a secret handshake or something. You get into a club where they teach you this stuff, and they just don't. This stuff comes through experience, and it comes through a lot of times hard experience and hard lessons that we have to learn. And these are some of the things that we've learned that have been beneficial in our lives. And this is about addiction, but it's sort of also not. And it's a shift in our content that is overdue, and I think that we're going to show you more of. Mm-hmm. We can only talk about these relationships for so long. Like the fact of the matter, guys, we've been out of this for over a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
And it wears on us personally behind the scenes, talking about this stuff all the time. So we want to bring things back every so often, and actually more often, and start to talk about some of the stuff that is just going to be beneficial for you in life. Beneficial for you and your children in the way that you parent, things that we found helpful. Maybe you'll find some of it helpful, maybe not all of it. And, take what you want, leave the rest. But the last thing I want to do is sit here and talk about abusive relationships for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some cool stuff too.
Right.
And talk about stuff like this. Mm-hmm. This has been awesome. So this was an episode that Paige crafted, put together. I thought it was a really good topic. So thank you for that.
Thank you for doing it.
It's pretty late here tonight. What we got here? It is just after midnight.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's a little late, but I appreciate you being awake with me.
I am awake.
You are actually awake this time. You get this 1,000-yard stare, like the shell
I
shock
didn't
stare.
do that.
You didn't do that one time.
No, I really liked this conversation. I
thought it was
enjoyed.
great.
I didn't speak as much, but what's new? I love. That's not a dig on you. That's a me problem.
I know, but
we know that's a me problem.
I want to hear from you.
I know. I'm working on it. But I just really liked what you had to say. I think that since you taught me a lot about this, you had a lot more to say about it than I did.
It's something that has served me really well, and it served you
me,
very
me
well
too.
as well.
This was a life-changing thing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the things that we're going to be bringing up has been life-changing, but this one was like a big deal for me.
Yeah, it's been great, and for you, the listener, I hope that you gain something from it too. Us as a show, we are incredibly grateful that you're here listening with us. Like, we never dreamed that so many people would find hope and help in this stuff. Like, when we started the podcast, we'd be content. We said, like, if one person listened and got help. And many more than that have gotten help. And that's because you guys show up and you listen and you care about what we have to say. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate that, and like how great that feels to know that your voice means something to somebody, and like your experience isn't for nothing, and that there's meaning and purpose in it.
Yeah.
And I would challenge you and say that, like, why can't that be you one day? Why can't your story have that same meaning and that same benefit to other people? Like, if I want anything at all, is I want people to find hope and find help in this, and then go help other people too, because nothing feels better than that.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to learn about something, you can read about it. If you want to really understand something, write about it. If you really want to master something, go out and teach it.
Yes.
So we encourage you to take these concepts, put them into practice in your life, a call to action. I want you, the listener, to challenge some of your beliefs this week. I want you to challenge some of the things that you've always held true and you're really not sure why. I want you to challenge the good thoughts and the bad thoughts, and pay attention to the dichotomy of your emotions and the fact that you are a very beautiful and amazing, complex person that has got so much to offer. And we can't wait to see you grow. So that's all we've got. Until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.